Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday weather outlook for the Cornbelt region, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, we got to begin with the data that came out yesterday from the USDA showing our planting progress, and we had been anticipating 2019 is now the slowest planting progress we've seen since 1990. And when we kind of take a look at these numbers, the big question is, do we continue on the trajectory we saw last week, which would be something like this, allowing it to maintain its record slow pace? Does it slow down even more? We're going to talk about that in a few seconds to see if we get there, or do we continue to maybe make some more rapid progress? But the problem is that when we're this deep in the season, if I show you a forecast that looks something like this is looking out over the next 15 days, looking at precipitation anomalies. That certainly makes us feel as though we're not going to be making much progress. I'm very concerned about replanting issues where we're going to be seeing some incredibly heavy rain here in parts of the Western Corn Belt. And finally, just a reminder, today is the 21st of May, and that means we are 1 month away from the summer solstice. So when we think about that, think about our progress with the planting of beans as well, and the timing that they need to have with flowering around that time period. So we are really pressured here as we progress through the planting season in 2019, and the weather forecast I have for us doesn't exactly look that great. Looking at yesterday's severe weather outbreak, this is a satellite animation, infrared satellite animation, showing you the massive storms that erupted in the central plains and in the southern plains here. They progressed in the overnight hours through Missouri and then into Illinois early this morning. That's just the first big push of this. We have multiple chances over the coming days of a lot of heavy rain because we are not breaking down this pattern. Now, yesterday was a pretty rough day, and the reason why I'm doing the weather forecast today instead of Andrew for the Corn Belt region is because he got out and was storm chasing for us for Nutrien. He's down there observing these storms, taking observations, and getting great imagery and graphics out of this. So he is out on the plains chasing for us to let us know what the damage looks like. I was going to tell you something because he's not here. He's a phenomenal storm chaser. This kid is incredibly good at pinpointing exactly when and where severe weather is going to be. So he was on some of the roughest storms yesterday. We had 162 reports, and you can see in the overnight hours the severe weather had progressed up here toward parts of Missouri, and that'll be our main severe weather threat corridor today. But we will be seeing the southern plains reload here and get going again. So high risk warranted here. 20 reports of tornadoes and some huge hail. Now in the early morning hours, this was about 5 o'clock in the morning, we could see that our first push of rain was moving through parts of Illinois, and this is kind of slowly moving over toward the eastern Corn Belt. But the bigger show is going to be how the system continues to curl up here in the central plains, and what it does today is it gives us our main severe weather threat into this area. Meanwhile, on the back side of this, it is very windy and it is cold. We've seen snow already here in the high plains getting into parts of Colorado and Wyoming, but also western Nebraska and parts of southwestern South Dakota. So this storm system is kind of doing it all. Meanwhile, Big Ridge protects everything over the southeast. So just to show you how much snow we did get over the last 24 hours, the point is that any snow at this time of year, if you're not deep in the mountains, is not good. And we clearly see that we had a part of the high plains that picked it up, as did parts of northern Wisconsin, maybe up there, around the Minocqua area, getting a little bit of a late go of the snow here. So when you take a look at that map and I show you what we've got coming in today, this is how the forecast surface winds will look by later on today. You can see our low pressure system sitting here and spinning. A lot of warm air advection out ahead of this. That's warm, moist, unstable air that's curling around this high pressure center. So what we're watching today is the warm sector is going to extend up like this, and that'll be the region around which we're going to have to keep a close eye, especially right in through this corridor on severe weather. Meanwhile, very windy conditions on the backside, very cold on the backside, and that's why our all hazards weather map looks like this. A broad area where we have flood watches. Tucked in the middle, there are flood warnings. High wind advisories on the backside, flood, snow. I mean, you can kind of see this storm system be causing major problems across the midsection of the country. Oh, and look up there in Michigan. Yeah, I don't want to point out these blue colors here, but certainly this is going to be another cool day in that part of the country as well. So problem is, I don't see this breaking down maybe until we get past the first week of June. I've been hinting at a pattern change, but I'll show you what that pattern change actually means in a few minutes, which means maps like this are going to continue to look like this. This is our USGS. We're looking at river gauges here, and we can clearly see we have 600 gauges across the country reporting near or above flood stage. And where the heavy rain fell last night, you can see right in through here where some places picked up better than 5 inches of rainfall is going to continue to have major flooding threat in parts of Oklahoma and Kansas. And we're going to continue to see with this storm system, this whole area just filling in with more and more rainfall. So this is the pattern that gets us there. It's highly amplified. You can see the flow. Whenever we see such sharp turns like this just tells us there's an abundant amount of upper level support in this area to produce a storm system. Big ridge over the southeast, keeping things protected. And this is our first named tropical system of the year. That is Andrea. Don't worry about her. She's going this direction. Okay? Sorry. These tropical systems don't have gender here, but subtropical storm Andrea moving out to the east. All right? Here's your next 5 days. We can clearly see that so much of the country will be under the influence of that flow pattern doing something like this. And with the big ridge protecting things over the southeast, the Corn Belt, we're going to continue just to see, well, a lot of rainfall. That is for sure. Temperatures, next 5 days, you can just see the flow pattern. It's doing something like this. South, incredibly hot. I'm actually traveling today to Virginia, then to South Carolina. I'll be seeing temperatures deep into the 90s, maybe even approaching triple digits during my trip. Meanwhile, on the backside of this, look at the cold bias that we hang on to. It sticks around in the day 6 through 10 forecast for the Corn Belt as well. See the cooler temperatures in the northern Corn Belt? So this is far less than ideal planting conditions. And as I told you at the beginning, next 15 days continues with the wetter bias across the Corn Belt, and it is well seen here in both our long-range models here. The GEFS, that's the U.S. model on the left, and the EPS, this is the European model that's on the right. The agreement here is startling. They are in such kind of lockstep with each other right now on what's coming. So that is the big picture. That's kind of the bad news. Let's dig into some of the details here. Storm Prediction Center has sections of the Corn Belt kind of under their view here for getting some severe weather today. So like I said, as the storm system curls out, we're going to watch the main frontal boundary moving through parts of Missouri, getting into Arkansas later today. And the severe weather threat extends into like St. Louis, Missouri area and presses over toward Indianapolis. And we'll be watching that throughout the day today to see how far east these storms get. As we look into the day tomorrow, what's going to happen is the low pressure system is going to move up here toward the Great Lakes, and it's going to just drag a boundary that's going to sit right here. And because of that ridge over the southeast, we just keep putting, warm, moist, unstable air into that front, again, which is sitting right in through this corridor. And that's where the Storm Prediction Center on the day on Thursday is watching for some stronger storms. By the time we get into Thursday, sorry, that was Wednesday over here. This one over here is Wednesday. This is Thursday. We do see the whole system reloading. First system leaves, brings some severe weather here into the far eastern part of the Corn Belt, getting in the northeast. But watch, again, we go right back into this section of the south for severe weather. Taking a look at our high-resolution NAM model, let's just play this forward. We're going to see the storm system curling up there, heading straight north. So instead of moving toward the northeast, because of the amplitude of that trough ridge pattern, this one goes to the north. And as a result, we just bring round after round of heavy rainfall through Nebraska, South Dakota, getting to North Dakota, Minnesota. That's how this one's going to progress. Watch it again, though. You can see that one round moves through Illinois. Severe storms possibly pushing through Missouri and Illinois late tonight. In fact, let me just step you back there to show you the timing on that. So we can see right there, see it? This is coming through Iowa, Missouri this evening, overnight hours pressing through Illinois, and then getting over toward Indiana early in the morning on Wednesday. So that's that part of the Corn Belt getting some heavy rain. Meanwhile, Wisconsin, Michigan, you're catching the end of this as well. But you can see that as the system moves north, it fades as it moves toward the eastern Corn Belt. So if there's a chance of a place not getting the heaviest rainfall, it's that region I just circled there in the Corn Belt. The European model going out 10 days, well, let's just watch what it has to say. We've seen the model through here. Look at what I'm talking about for Thursday. So you see the low pressure center sitting here, and it's just dragging a boundary, a front right through there, on which the ridge that's over the southeast keeps kind of putting moisture into this. In fact, the center of high pressure is here, but the upper level ridge is sitting here, so I'll kind of denote that upper level ridge feature down there. So that's going to be our problem as we get through midweek. Pesky showers and thunderstorms stretching right through from Kansas through Missouri, Illinois, maybe up into southern Michigan, so this corridor right in through here. And as we move into Thursday night, the storms reload out there in the Central Plains. The next system pulls north. And again, look at this. We just keep dragging these fronts. See, the low goes here, and it drags the front right into this area on which we continue to see the risk for showers and storms. And that seems to be the name of the game. Even with the pattern shift I am seeing at the end of the month. Let me show it to you here, okay? That pattern shift at the end of the month, we still keep this corridor wet. Remember, with thunderstorms, it's all about nowcasting, but there is the potential for some very heavy rainfall inside of this. If there's any place that has, in the Corn Belt, that has a decent chance of missing this, it could again be the eastern Corn Belt as it's influenced by that subtropical ridge. But watch what happens here. Playing out the flow pattern, we do see that by the time we get to the end of the month, there comes our pattern change right here. But the question is, does that pattern change, which you saw there at the end, dry us out? Now look, we're in this deep western trough southeastern ridge through May 27th, 28th. We slowly start to see this deeper trough feature develop over the Hudson Bay. That's the beginning of our pattern change. And it just gets rid of the huge ridge over the southeast, but slides it over toward Texas. Now this is not a pattern where we warm up significantly. This isn't a hot pattern. But the question is, what does it mean for precipitation? So I'm going to finish this video by showing you what we're seeing in the first maybe couple of weeks of June. This takes us all the way up to June 14th, and I'll be discussing this tomorrow, my long-range forecast. But the pattern may do something like this, okay? And if it does that, where our ridge maybe moves this direction, we tend to have ring of fire precipitation around it, which means we're going to keep potentially a corridor right in through here wet as we progress into the beginning of June. It's reflected well in the temperature pattern. Look at this, the cooler bias, the slight cooler bias. It's still going to be warm, but the slight cooler bias indicates to me that the model's picking up on cloud cover and more rain as it runs around that ridge that's sliding over through the southern part of the United States. Now, there's a lot more diagnosis than just this we have to talk about. Certainly the MJO influences this, El Nino, and some high latitude blocking stuff. And we're going to talk about that in the long range update coming out tomorrow. But with that, I'm wrapping up your Corn Belt forecast. We at Nutrien Ag Solutions hope you look forward to all of our weather forecast videos coming out this week. Hope you have a great week. Talk to you soon. Thank you.